G'day and welcome to the Hunting Connection podcast. My name is Zach Williams and I am your host. Here we'll connect you with hunters, fishers and outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe. This podcast will share hunting and fishing stories, including past experiences, and tackle the tough hunting stereotypes our community faces. We hope to be a positive influence to those outside the community while also having a laugh along the way. Hope you enjoy the podcast. G'day and welcome to another episode of Hunting Connection podcast. On this episode, we've got some returning guests. We've got Ilias and Luke, episode 1 and 2. And then Ilias made a guest appearance somewhere in the mid, probably episode 15, 20 in the year of first episodes. How you boys going?
Yeah, good, man. Good. How are you going?
Yeah, good. It's good to have you on.
Well.
It's great to hear. Hang on.
I think I'm still muted. You guys are trying to cut me off the air here.
No, you just got one of those quiet little voices. You know.
He's onto us, Zach. We better talk over him again.
There he is.
I did it.
I've still got the sound effect on the board. I can't not have
Lovely.
that on there.
Lovely.
So how's life been since you guys have been on last? We, did a catch up a couple months ago and went for a quick little hunt while Luke was down in SA.
That was good. It's a very good day.
That was a good day, actually. That's like the only time that I've been out hunting in the last 3 years. Well, basically since I was on the podcast on the first episode. So, yeah, I've been very slack, but in saying that, like, work hasn't really allowed me the time off to go and do it. But, yeah, I'm out of all that side of things now, so coming into a period where I can start to venture out and do some more stuff. So yeah, that's my last couple of years. It's been very frustrating watching all the good deer and everything like that get hit the deck in the rut and the roar, and yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy for you. You've changed states on us. We miss you all the time.
Absolutely.
The one guy we hit up all the time to go hunting, and he's changed states on us, ran away from South Australia, but probably a good thing with this up-and-coming bow hunting ban.
Yeah, I was like sort of gobsmacked when I hear it, when I heard of it all like kicking off. And when I was living in SA, it was like rumours and talks of it, but yeah, like I never thought it would actually have come to fruition, which it still hasn't, but it's getting more and more evident that it might, so...
Yeah, it's a crazy one. Just fingers crossed that the ABA and other organisations come in for us. And then Ilias, you've had a busy one. You've welcomed a new family member. You've been getting out with the whole family hunting.
Yeah, that was great, man. Took all 5 of us out and managed to get a deer, and yeah, it's a bloody good day, man. You can't beat it. Can't beat it.
It's hard enough with one kid that, talks and talks and talks and trips over sticks and wants to eat constantly, let alone taking 3 kids out and the wife.
Yep. And it was her first hunt too, so it was an exciting one for all of us. But yeah, it's been good.
No, that's awesome.
What memories are made of?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've taken a couple of deer since your last on with the rifle.
Yeah. Taken a few deer and had a few opportunities with the longbow, but I've just passed them up. Killed a few more fish. Yeah, it's been good.
That's
awesome.
Good
since again.
How good. And you see the kids are shooting out with you all the time, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's good. I'm very blessed, man. I have family who are interested in the same things I'm into, so yeah, it's good. It's very good.
So I've put this podcast together for a chance for us to chat about some bow fishing. I've had a couple of listeners reach out and wanting to know a bit about it. Why you can do it in South Australia, where they can go, and what to look out for when they're trying to pick a spot. If they're coming over from Victoria or across the border from New South, whatever like that, or laws and places in New South where you're allowed to do it, the other states that are legal. South Australia, it's currently legal in all the backwaters of the Murray River, within 50 metres of any other people doing any other recreational activity, which is, you know, pretty easy to stay away from other people with the amount of backwaters in South Australia. Victoria, you can't do it. New South Wales is all inland, not all inland waters, but inland waters. You have to be 100 metres away from people, have to have a fishing licence. You can't do it in saltwater anymore like you used to. It used to be under spearfishing law. Queensland, by the looks of it, it's spearfishing laws. NT, spearfishing laws. WA, I couldn't find. So there's a few different places you can do it, which is pretty cool.
That's more than I thought, actually. That's pretty good.
Yeah, my understanding was SA, New South, and Queensland were all for it. I've never really looked into any other state, but I always see stingrays and whatnot getting shot in Queensland, which is very tempting
cool.
to head up there.
What a life. On the list for sure.
Stingrays and sharks. That's been, since I got into bow fishing when I was 16. That's been high on my list. Like, it'd be so much fun just chumming up the waters in knee deep water and having those little reef sharks shoot through and trying to bowfish one of them.
So I'll watch you chum up from the shore because
me and Luke will be on the boat.
I've seen you with fish, Ilias.
I've gotten a lot better, actually, but it's still kind of freaking me out, slippery little suckers.
That's another thing you've come along in is your fishing journey. You were never much of a fisherman. The first time you picked up a fish while out bow fishing, there was a lot of screaming and carrying on.
I don't think it was screaming.
Yeah, there was some squealing and screaming. I got videos.
Yeah, it was probably a bit of squealing for sure. Got a very traumatic past with fish. I still have dreams. But it's come a long way. I have enjoyed fishing a fair bit, especially since I've started squidding a lot. So, I've had a lot of success doing that, even just off the jetties. I went out with Josh not long ago on his boat. That was a great day, man. Bunch of fish, bunch of crabs, a couple of squid. Good day. Yeah, I've definitely gone 180 on that. It's it's a lot more fun than I thought it was when you're catching things.
100%.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's something I've been on you to get out doing. You live 15 minutes, if that, from an amazing reservoir that's stocked with Murray cod, and you got down there and caught one with the family, with your old man. And
I can't believe I caught one. I was honestly shocked. I could not believe it because I just throw in line when I go fishing. Every time I've gone, it's just I never catch anything. Maybe a cold. And then when I reeled one in, I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" I couldn't believe it. It's amazing.
Dad, I did it.
Actually, 100%.
You gotta go. I found you gotta go fishing with the intention of not catching anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Next step is to get you out in the kayak when it warms up. We'll see if we can find any white pointers.
No, I'm very keen to do some squidding on a kayak. I'm super keen for that next year.
Oh, it'd be so much fun if we could bow fish from a kayak too. It would be good fun if we could find somewhere in SA. If it was legal.
He's been trying to make this a dream a reality for years.
Well, yeah, so bow
if
fishing.
I get sent any more sort of fishing platforms for us to buy as a friendship group to take up the river, I'm not going to lose.
The amount of watercraft me and Zach have conjured up in our heads. We're like, what if we strap some barrels together on a sheet of ply or something? Oh man, there's been some cooked up ideas.
The one I always remember is that it was like one of those paddle bicycles.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he sent us that?
The aqua bikes.
We didn't get what?
If all three of us we'll go thirds in this. This would be wicked. Have a deck where we can bow fish off the back of an aqua tricycle.
Giant swan boat.
Just it ties around like a little towboat or tugboat.
Yeah, that's one question that people ask a lot is, do you prefer to bow fish from the bank or from a kayak? Other ways to do it's from a pontoon that you can push around on a long stick or a flat bottom tinny. I've always done from the bank and in the water, which, Ilias isn't a great fan of. I've got him, neck deep in a couple of
Look,
tight holes.
When you're only 3 feet tall, you ain't got much to go. I can't barely lift in the water.
Yeah. All of my experience was bank fishing, or you spot them from the bank and then you try and creep up to them through the water. Yeah. But I've always wanted I don't know, like a platform with a tiny little outboard that makes no sort of ripples and waves. But trying to set one up and being mobile enough to cart around with the car and hold 2 people, it's pretty rough. But I don't know, what we've done have seemed to have worked.
Yeah, we've done a lot of bank stuff. We've got a killer little honey hole that we all share and clean up on fish when the water levels drop. With Luke and I have tried kayaks. We found that the angle when you're in a kayak is really, really hard to get, because if you're shooting too far, your arrow's hitting too flat on the water and it just skims through the schools. It doesn't cut into the water quite close enough, and then getting right next to the fish while they're schooling is very, very difficult in the kayak. We've done it, but it's difficult.
I've done the kayak once, and it was no good. I didn't see a single fish. Thundering with the kayak.
You're not supposed to paddle when you're coming up to them, bro.
I'll do what I want.
Starts using the paddle as a spear.
Isn't that how you do
it? You just smash them on the head. I've actually had people ask me about bow fishing, and I've often shown the video. The ones that we've got, Zach, of us creeping up on the schools, and you're shooting them, and they all spawn out of the water, or they flail out the water. They all find that so good. I've actually got 2 people into bow fishing from those videos, so it's been pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good. I remember Zach was trying to get me to go for ages, and I'm like, that sounds boring as hell. I would not like that. And then, after I got into it, I thought, this is wicked, man. This is a really good way to get into bow hunting, or just because you're going to have lots of opportunities. You're not going to have. Every time you go in the bush, you're going to see 30 deer that you can shoot, or 30 rabbits. But, you've the chances of you at least seeing where the fish are and being able to try and, especially when you do what we do, and we bank fish them, we basically hunt them, we spot and stalk them. It gives you a lot of practice of both of those sorts of things, man. So it's wicked fun. It's nothing.
I actually agree. I agree. It's a very good way of easing people into either bow hunting, or just if they want to get into bow fishing. It's a very easy sport to get good at, and like you said, you got heaps of chances. It's not like a lot of people want things now, so it's you've got result pretty much straight away if you're in the spot where the fish are, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. And even the thing is, you can scare the fish away and then wait half an hour, come back to that same spot, and the chances of there being one silly fish coming back, it's pretty high. So
that
would
be me, the silly fish.
It's a great way to do it. It's a way I vent people before taking them out hunting. Both of you have been a part of that vetting process. When we first met, Luke, I took out bow fishing first. That was the first time we met. We went out in the back of some backwaters where we waited for half the day, waist to chest deep, and we both cleaned up pretty good that day. Luke was out with a recurve. He shot five-ish fish, and I shot about 6. You got a mirror carp that day too, I reckon, on your first outing.
Yeah, it was a good day actually. That was as soon as I already did a lot of 3D archery and club shoots and stuff like that. So I was sort of experienced in archery, but always wanted to try bow hunting. I've shot a couple of rabbits and a fox here or there, but then that day was that was really good. Opened up my eyes a bit, and we actually sealed our first deer property that same day, which was great.
Yeah,
which we've still got to this day.
Our first shared deer property. That was great. We seen some good deer out the back behind there. And then Ilias, when we first discovered you, I said, let's hang out, let's go out bow fishing, and got you out. You're like, bow fishing? That sounds freaking stupid. Who wants to go shoot fish around a swamp?
I
do
not sound like that. I just said it just sounds like it's. I just thought it wasn't going to be fun, really, but I was wrong.
It is kind of like that though, because it's like, at shooting fish, you're never going to see one, or you're never going to be able to do it, and it's surprising at how good and how fun it is. Like, I don't like to label the word fun, I guess, with a sport that kills animal, but it's a very it's a good day out. Like, the company's great. It's a good day. Yeah,
if you're out with a couple of guys, it's a great laugh because you're wandering through swampy waters, or I'm one to go. I've shot fish where the only bit of my body out the water has been from my chin up and my shoulders and my arm, and I'm like holding the bow sideways across the top of the water at last light, shooting fish off the top of the water.
Yeah. Some memories have been made, that's for sure. I remember, because obviously you're quite a bit taller than me as well, so well, that one time, and I was like coming through that gutter, and you didn't even look like you got through it, and then I just fucking disappeared. Yeah.
I think I know the gutter. It's like, there's a bit of a gutter here. Next thing I know, I'm up to my ears.
Yeah, he full set you up. So future reference, guys.
Yeah. So one first bit of gear I'm going to recommend for going out bow fishing is a good pair of water shoes. I use dive boots from BCF with just the zip up ones, and they're real thick soles. They've got some grip on the bottom of them, so they're good to walk around the edges. Good for walking through the waters because you don't know what's going to be in that muck in the bottom of the swamps. From broken glass to needles to whatever. Hooks, any sorts of sharp bits like that. Arrows that have snapped off the line and stuck in the mud, because when you're walking through the water, you're walking through about 2 foot of mud and then 4 foot of water, depending where you are. There might be a foot of water in some spots, but there's 3 foot of mud. So,
what do you wear, Luke?
Well, it's funny because I used, when I first started off, I just used a pair of dusty old Dunlop volleys that I had, that I didn't really care about. But the more we got into it, I tossed them and then got the dive boots with the zip on it. I can't remember I think they were Primal is the brand, but as soon as I got those, it's doesn't really matter, I guess, because as long as it protects your foot, I know people who have worn Crocs.
That's me. So you guys are all fancy. I'm just going in my Crocs, my all-terrain Crocs in sports mode.
If you just lock them in, you'll be sweet.
That's good if you're on the banks, but as soon as you actually get in the water,
I've been in. As long as you got them in sports mode, you'll be right. That's it.
You're sounding like my 9-year-old now. Speaking of Crocs,
the Lightning McQueen ones.
Speaking of Crocs, for those cooler mornings, for when you go out hunting, I've seen you can get some slipper inserts for your Crocs now. So there you go.
I feel like that defeats the purpose of Crocs, because you want to be able to have a shoe you can get completely wet and then just do a couple of shakes and you're good to go again. If you have those inserts, I feel like you're done.
Yeah, I'll stick to my water boots. I'm not man enough to go wear Crocs in public yet.
I was like that as well. And then I was like talking to Aaron about what to buy for New Zealand when we do some creek crossings and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you should buy yourself a pair of Crocs." I'm like, "No, please, no."
You'll never ever go back. It's wicked.
And now, guess who has a pair of Crocs?
Yeah,
bright pink ones, I hope.
Yeah, of course.
We've had some times out bow fishing. Talk about gear. I'm running a compound, an old PSE Stinger, 3G Stinger at 70 pound. You do not need it at 70 pound. That's just what I run it at 70 pound. I get a lot of pass throughs on fish. At times I get double headers, triple headers, and I've even had a quadruple header. The arrow flies through them. So when you're in those school environments, another spot where I go is off of an old bridge. So you're shooting down on the fish when they're in schools. So you can quite often clean up a few, but you do get string breaks if you're not careful, and you lose arrows just because of the poundage of the bow itself. But yeah, you don't need to do that. My son, my 9-year-old, he shot his first couple of fish, and his bow's only at about 18 pounds. So you can get into the fish pretty well with the arrow if you're using the right gear. That's the next bit of gear, is make sure you got a proper bow fishing arrow with the harpoon heads on it. Stops the fish from getting off once the arrow goes through the other side. Otherwise, you can lose a lot of fish if you're just using standard arrows. A good bow fishing reel, you don't have to get the side mount or the bait caster style one that sits on front of the bow. You can go the hand reel style, which is a great starting method. You can pick one of them up for about $60 with a cheapish arrow. First thing to do there is upgrade the arrow and grab yourself a bit of spare bits for the arrow, whether that's the head, the slider of the arrow, the stoppers. They're all good to have. Lots of handy bits out. Nocks as well of the arrows. They break at times when you're fishing in rocky areas, and you're putting lots of shots through the bow. You can crack them. So it's good to have spare bow fishing nocks and glue while you're out as well. But that's what I'm running, boys. What are you fellas running, Luke?
Well, I actually have two setups. I have a recurve, which I just use the normal screw-on hand reel that you screw into your stabilizer position. On my recurve, it's a Bear Super Mag. That's only 45 pound. I actually have been using that one more recently, before we stopped doing it for a while. And my compound, I've just like a Bear Bowtac Assassin. Just a Bowtech Assassin. It's at 60 pounds. And that's got the AMS side mount reel. So it's got the little
Pro Retriever.
Yeah, the little the little egg beater retriever type reel they've both got harpoon heads. I do take a little tackle box that has glue, spare heads, nocks. Also, there's on all the fiberglass arrows, there's a little black stopper with a screw that comes through the arrow. I'll take some spares of that and some spare string. So definitely, if you're going out, take some spare nocks, because they are the things that break the most, in my opinion. But yeah, the first thing to upgrade, if you get your normal hand reel, is to get a new arrow with the harpoon heads. Definitely highly recommend those. But yeah, you don't have to go out and spend massive dollars on an AMS reel or the egg beater type reel on the end. But yeah, that's all I'm running.
Ilias?
Yeah, pretty much fairly similar. I just run a fairly cheap bow. It's a Dunsing F166. I got it just because I like the way it shot, and it wasn't very expensive. So it's a fairly cheap recurve. I just wanted something I could chuck around in the dirt and sand and on the rocks, and I wouldn't be too fussed about. When it comes to arrows, I always go cheaper rather than the more expensive ones. I just find that the expensive ones are going to break just as quick, and I'd rather have 4 arrows in my pocket that are cheaper and be able to keep bow fishing all day than have 1 or 2 good ones and they break and I'm still stuck out there. I have to go home. So I prefer the cheap ones. I like them. I've never had any real problems with them. If I've shot a fish, I've never lost one by it not functioning properly, so I don't go too crazy. I have an AMS reel because I had a Muzzy before, and when I shot my first fish with it, the reel actually bent. So the reel handle just completely bent. I'm not a huge fan of the reel style, because I really just use it as a string management system. I sort of shoot the fish and then I give it 1 or 2 cranks with the handle, And then after that, I just hand reel it in. I just like that more than having to reel it in with the reel itself.
To be fair in saying that, I agree. Like, it's way easier and quicker to drag the fish in by the line than it is to reel it in. I don't know if I've ever actually even used the reel trying to reel a fish in.
Exactly. If I was just talking to your mate Adam the other day, if they had some sort of like wrist reel bottle where you could just have it on your wrist, take the shot, and then it all flies out, and then you hand reel it in, and then you could just put the cord back inside again, I'd be all for that. I reckon that would be wicked. But
yeah, there you go. There's a market for you.
And as far as my tackle box, man, probably number one thing is duct tape. You can fix a lot of arrows with duct tape when you got heads coming off and knocks not quite fitting right and all sorts of things.
And you call me the dodgy one, Jesus Christ.
No, well, that's probably the one place. That's the one place I would use duct tape, and I have. I've had like heads not quite sitting right after I've shot a fish, and you sort of take them up straight again, and you can go all day with a bit of duct tape. It's wicked.
That's scary. I've duct taped reels to bows, but haven't fixed arrows. I've had too many arrows come back, and I've seen the bad effects of that arrows coming back at you, and breaking and stuff like that. But yes, there's lots of different reels you can go. Like I said, the cheapest option, the handline reel that screws into the front of your bow, that's a really good way of doing it. You put your bow down after the shot and just pull the string in and then wind it up afterwards, as Ilias does with his AMS Pro Retriever. You do find that you put your bow down quite a bit and then pull the fish in and then wind the line up after. The reason I like the Pro Retriever is the way it comes off of the reel. It sits nicely, it shoots nicely, it's smooth. You don't really have to worry too much about tangles with the front reels. They can, hook onto reeds, and when you're walking through, the string gets caught on stuff, where if you're holding the Pro Retriever, it's got a clutch system where you hold that and it stops the line from coming out. So if you're walking through the scrub and it's catching on reeds and lignum and all of that stuff, it's not going to just pull out, and you're not going to turn around and have 100 meters of line.
Worst. The worst is you'll sneak up on a fish and you wouldn't even realize you've tangled in a bush 20 meters back, and then you go to pull your arrow back and you're like, oh my goodness, there's orange cable everywhere. I've had that so many. The first time we went out, I had that a few times with you, Zach, where I had the front mount, and I was like, no matter what I do, I am not getting one of these again. It was just terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass at times, but I've shot a lot of fish with them. They're great to chuck on spare bows just to take people out. I've taken a lot of people out bow fishing, a lot of newcomers. And yeah, they're just great. And that's something you mentioned before as well, Ilias, is you don't have to have an expensive setup. If you get a cheap secondhand bow, whether it's a recurve, a compound, it could be one of those cheap compounds with the tiny little pulley cams, like without even the proper cams, and they make great bows just for bow fishing, because you can shoot those bows with fingers. That's something else. I bow fish with the release aid. I like the practice of having the shooting with the release aid, but a lot of guys shoot fingers, especially with the older style compounds that just have the pulleys. You shoot fingers, Ilias, obviously with a recurve. I use a glove when I'm running my recurve. I've got an old Martin Jaguar as my recurve bow. Whisker Biscuit.
I was just about to say, man, do you want to talk about the rests? Because I've had so many people who have started and then they've gone and bought these expensive Fandangle rests, when even just like the bow fishing Whisker Biscuit is just an absolute waste. I think me and you have got the same opinion on this.
Yep. With the Whisker Biscuit, that's what I'm running. You can run a roller rest. There's a couple of other styles that you can use. I'm running one of the cheapest Whisker Biscuits you can find. The trouble some people have with the Whisker Biscuits is that the arrow is heavy. Your standard hunting arrow, mine's about 540 grains, where my bow fishing arrow is about 1,200 grains. So it's a big difference. So it slops down in the whisker biscuit. To prevent the slooping down in the whisker biscuit, I've put some fletching glue on the bristles to stiffen them up, and I have absolutely no issue whatsoever with.
I did exactly
mine.
the same. When I was still shooting off of one, because now I just shoot off the shelf, but when I was still shooting, that's the way to do it, man. Even when I've set other people's bow fishing rigs up, it's just don't waste your money on an expensive bow fishing whisker biscuit. It's a waste of time.
What about yourself, Luke? What are you running?
I have a bow fishing whisker biscuit.
I shoot off a whisker biscuit as well on the Bowtech Assassin. So on my compound, I've just got like a real cheap whisker biscuit that I've also put fletching glue in the one spot that the arrows, starts to fall down. And then on the recurve, I just shoot off the shelf.
Yep, beautiful.
I'm not really a big fan of those roller rests and the glide rests, like the polyurethane white ones that bolt in. I've never had any good outcomes from them, always kicking the arrow up too high or whatever. So, yeah.
Well, just use what you got, and if you are like a compound shooter and you have a whisker biscuit, I'm sure you've got spare whisker biscuits in your toolbox somewhere you can use already. So don't go out and get something else when you can just use what you got at home.
Yeah, make
exactly.
what you got work. I've played. I've had times where my AMS reels, because I'm on, I think, my third in about 15 years for the AMS reels, but I've had some that have screwed up, and rather than going and 2 hours out of my way to the shop to go get one, I've made some out of old reels and using brickline string and fishing reels and a bit of a rod as a guide on the front of it. These things work all right, but they don't have the same action. You can have issues with the drag. If you have your drag done up on a fishing reel, that arrow's coming straight back at you, or that line's snapping. Where the bow fishing reels, they have a reverse drag. So the drag's open the whole time until you pull a lever or press a switch that turns that drag on for a safety feature, because if you shoot, have a good shot at a fish, that arrow will come straight back at you if there's drag on, and it can end pretty badly. I've seen some horrific photos from America where, guys have had the harpoon arrows come back at them.
It's even like setting up the arrow on the bow, I've seen some wonky ones where people have had like the slide. So obviously you've got the arrow and there's the little slide that runs up and down that holds the line. When they have that like behind the whisker biscuit before they shoot, that's not really, that's something you obviously got to make sure you're aware of before you start this, is that you want to have that slide in front of the whisker biscuit before you take a shot. Otherwise all sorts of
100%.
Yeah, slides, that's another great safety feature on a bow fishing arrow. If I've seen people tying their string onto the stopping hole where the stopper goes, where you put the little grub screw and the black washer, they tie their line onto that. All of this stuff's for safety and better results. So get yourself, Archery Supplies sells a replacement kit of slides, nocks, the screws, the little washers for about $40 for about 5 or 6 arrow setups, which is bloody great to have. Again, with the cheaper arrows, you can upgrade everything on that arrow. You add heat to the head. You can pull the crappy wire prong head off, and you can put, spend $30 on, a better harpoon head or whatever you want to use. And, I have 1 good arrow or 2 good arrows, and then I'll have 4 or 5 just $10 cheap arrows from Archery Supplies. That's another.
I think that the Muzzy arrow comes with like replacement knock and a replacement head. It's definitely got like one of those little grubs as well in there. It comes with a few replacement pieces with it, so that's the one good thing about it. If you are going to buy the more expensive stuff, you get the bits and pieces to fix it.
Yeah, that's it. And it's bloody good just to have on. And yeah, it's good to have with you, because otherwise these just bugger out. If you're on a day where you're getting a lot of fish and having a lot of shots, my personal best day out was with a mate and a cousin of mine. We shot 140 fish in 3.5 hours, and it's just non-stop shooting. You get the fish off, and by the time you got the arrow on, you're shooting again, and it's just shooting non-stop. And things fail when you're shooting like that constantly.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, the biggest things to take if you're going out and expecting a big day is definitely, well, just regardless, is spare knots, spare like slide stoppers, and spare slides.
Yep,
definitely. Other things that I recommend you take out with you or while you're out is if you've got a small backpack, like a camel pack style pack, have a bladder in there. Great to have with you. If you're walking around the swamps, carry, 6 to 12 foot bit of rope. And it's a good way to just chuck the fish on the end of the rope, so you're carrying them around with you, so you're not leaving them in the water. You can go find a bush to put them in later, or if you're like Ilias, you chuck them in your esky and, do some...
Gotta have my esky, and I gotta have a trolley. The trolley has been the best bit of kit I've had since going bow fishing. You can put all your stuff in there, your bag, water. You're gonna need mosquito spray most of the time as well, because those things are nasty out there. So yeah, that's my last little 2 bobs, I suppose.
Yeah, mosquito spray is a good one, because the best time to go bow fishing, which we haven't covered yet, is first thing in the morning and the last thing at night. That first 2 hours at daybreak seem to be the best, and that last hour or half an hour of light is second best, I reckon. If you get a really warm day, Luke and I have been out on 44, 45 degree days chasing fish. You're getting there at, 15 minutes before first light, and you're fishing until 11 o'clock, and you're just absolutely knackered. So it's good to have cold drinks, long sleeves, a neck sock to keep you out of the sun, good hat, sunscreen, all of those things absolutely are a bloody great thing to have with you. What else? We've covered gear, stuff to take out with you, finding spots and finding fish. How do you fellas go about that, when you're looking for new spots to go?
You can go first, Luke.
Google Maps really is your biggest friend. Is get that Google Maps. So especially in SA, you can find all the backwaters pretty easy from the Murray, just by satellite, whatever maps you want to use really. But I haven't really done any searching up in New South or Queensland. But everything I found was either with Zach or Ilias, or I spotted on satellite maps, and I usually use Google Maps. They're pretty good.
Yeah, nice. And how about finding the fish once you're there? What do you do?
Well, I would, scout it, try and get there as early as you can, especially if it's going to be a warm day. Try and get there just before spawning, and then do a walk recce, walk around the banks, and then, if you spot one or spot a school, that's when we would either ease on into the water or see if we could, access them to like another bank if they were closer to a different bank, or watch out for their eyesight as well, because that's one thing I learnt was that they can spot you pretty easily. Is if you come bashing through the scrub or whatever to try and get to them, you got to take your time with them. It's very much like spot and stalk a little bit, but that's how I would go if I was a beginner. Would just do like some bank recce's and then get there as early as you can and try and find out where they're spawning.
What about yourself, Ilias?
That's good, man. Same thing. Google Maps. I do a lot of trips like down towards those sorts of areas. So I'll always go and have a little poke around to see if I can see anything. Sometimes you find things, sometimes you don't. In terms of like actually finding the fish when you get there, I think the main thing you do is just treat it like you are hunting. Be slow and still and quiet and wait and watch and see what the water is doing. Takes a bit of time to sort of get your eye in for knowing what to look for. but all of a sudden, you start seeing that the water's not quite moving in the right way, or you see like a little flicker, or you start to see some, pulsating bubbles. Of course, you see the mud come up when they start to burrow down. So, there's lots of little things you can sort of pick up along the way, but yeah, that's probably what I look for. Just take my time and see where the fish are, and then treat it like hunting. Spot and stalk, go slow, try and get to a place where they are less likely to catch a look at you, because their eyesight's pretty good, I think. Where's the sun?
Look,
what's behind you? Are you casting a silhouette? Are you putting shadows on the water? Those are the sorts of things I sort of do I think about when I'm actually out there.
Yeah,
look for lips on the water.
That's some.
Lips on the water, sucking. Of course, the sucking can take you away. You settle down now, there, Zach.
You said that so nonchalant. As soon as you said it, I just could not help but laugh. Yes, sucking is a thing that you look for while you're out bow fishing.
Always.
Yeah, surface.
And we wonder why he takes them home.
Some big lips on those carp.
What's the best bit to eat?
Jesus, this podcast has took a turn, but try and get back on track. Well, you both said some great things there. Google Earth, like any of those satellite maps, is great to use. It's always good to, when you're picking spots, find spots where you can access easy, and you can get to reasonably well. The shallower, the better. The warmer, the better. It's great to pin a few different spots, because sometimes when you get to a spot, the wind's not quite right and it's putting like ripples across the water, and it just makes the whole thing. Where if you drive, where we drive 10 Ks onto another backwater, and there's a cliff sheltering it or something like that. So it just gets you in a good spot. The different types of sign you're looking for while you're out there. Polaroid sunnies are the best thing to wear when it gets real sunny, because you can see the fish shadows under the water, and it just cuts through that glare quite a bit. But you're looking for, I call it waving. You'll quite often see either the tail fin or the side fin flapping outside the water, them digging in the mud, but it's like they're waving at you. As we said, with the surface sucking, they're sucking bugs off of the top of the water, and you can hear it. It's like it just makes this like sound on the.
I'm gonna need to hear that
again.
That's gonna be a meme. Thanks, Cody.
Just say it a bit slower.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be quite a.
Look me in the eyes when you say that.
You'll see them,
You're killing me.
The places we go most are, knee deep to waist deep water, and most of the time they're get out of the gutter, and not the one that you fall into when we're out bow fishing.
Oh dear.
So you're shooting the fish just under the surface. I find that aiming just below the belly when they're under the surface is a good spot. But aim low, and you're gonna hit them due to the refraction. When they're on the surface, you don't need to make up as much, because you can see where it is. Just send it into the middle of the fish. But yeah, finding spots, Polaroid sunnies, and just reading the water and learning to spot the fish quite often when you're first getting into it, and even when you've been doing it for years. The first thing you see is the ripple of the fish going away. It looks like a torpedo going through the water, and you just see mud kicking up, and then they're kicking up other fish, and just these torpedoes flying through everywhere.
One thing that I've had a lot of success at looking at lately is finding a spot I can sit so that I'm not casting any silhouettes on the water, or even back, against the sky, basically. And I'll sit there and I'll wait, because the carp, when they're just pottering around, you'd be surprised. They're like, if you haven't been bow fishing a lot, they're so slow in their movements. They're just just gliding so slowly across, just underneath the water, and they create this like there's a tiny little ripple that goes against the grain of all of the other water. So if the water's flowing one way, you'll quite often see that there's like, for some reason, the water looks like it's almost skimming over a rock that's like beneath the water's surface. And because it's so slow, if you ever see anything like that, you just take the time to stop and watch more, because the chances of that actually being a fish, you might just think, oh, it's nothing. But if you have a look, you'll quite often find that there is a fish or a couple there, just underneath the water surface, even deep enough that you can only just sort of half make them out because they're already in the muddy layer. So that's something I do.
Yeah, that's
Look
it.
for things out of place, really.
And quite often you'll get the shits because you're sitting there waiting, and then you get the shits up, you start moving, and as soon as you move, that fish is gone. Like it just takes off like a torpedo.
It's so infuriating.
And
they leave it like a dust of mud, like a trail of mud, like after you've busted it out from where it is, and you're like, fuck's sake, on to the next one. But yeah.
We've lost Ilias. We've got a conversation going. Why haven't the podcast? He's just lost it.
Whatever you do not check the group chat. I don't know what the hell is going on.
It's your background, mate. But yeah,
sweet mercy.
He's gone. He's as red as his jumper.
Yeah.
Where were we? His outspurt got me lost.
Hey, I don't know. Do you guys ever tried baiting them in any way? Like, do you ever use anything to try and get them to come? Because I've had I feel like that is it something you'd think would work well. Like, I know people take corn for catching carp with a rod, but I feel like that is such a bad idea, and it's an easy trap for someone who's trying to get into bow fishing to fall into, to go, I'll take corn and I'll throw it out there, and then all of a sudden the corn's on the bottom of the waterway, and you never see another carp again because they're all down there sucking on it.
Yeah, so I've used bread when you go out, when I'm shooting down on the water. So when I'm on the old bridges where I go and you're looking down on the fish, if you're throwing like a slice of bread, the fish are coming and feeding on the bread, and you're getting perfect shots on their heads as they're feeding. So you get a lot of forehead shots and eye shots and mouth shots, which is it's difficult because you got a smaller target, but it's good fun. Also, if I know I'm going back to a spot that's got a real shallow area, I'll tip out a bag of burley and just leave it there the night, and then all the fish are attracted there, and then the next morning they seem to be there quite a bit, but it can be hit and miss. The bread is the best go, but
I think that the bread's good, but you have to be really aware of what else is around, because if there's lots of birds, if there's ducks and things, those things will start flying in from everywhere and trying to snap that bread up, and they'll scare all the fish away. So I know you've had success with it, but I've never had good success with bread. I'd never take it anymore.
Yeah, it just depends where you are.
I've never tried any baiting or anything like that. I know Zach hasn't had success with bread, but I've never tried it.
I've had real good success with the loaves of bread, but it's just, you throw a single piece in there and you wait for them to feed off of it. That's if things are quiet and they're hungry. But I've found that you have to be above the fish. So I've tried using bread where we go out, and because you're on the same level as the fish, you're not seeing them as well, but where you're right above them and you can just shoot straight down and you're seeing into the water rather than looking across the water. That seems to be one thing that, it's hit and miss. I've had more luck without worrying about baiting.
Same. That's what I was going to say. I try not to take anything because you think it's going to help you, but for me at least, it's never helped me. It's just made it worse.
You just sit there eating a loaf of bread and getting tired. So your team's just kicked us out, but we're back again. So we'll try and pick up where we left off and answer some more questions and things that we think will be helpful. we'll jump onto the edible side of things, the cooking side of things. Ilias, how do you prep your carp, and what do you do when you get them first, and when you get them home, how do you prep them and then serving them?
I'm just take it pretty simple, man. I just cut the belly meat out because after the last rib down to the tail, there's no bones. So it's not very big, portion of meat. But if you shoot a couple of fish and you bring them home, then you can use that. And you don't have to do much to it, man. It just tastes like a normal white fish. If you just give it a bit of a clean, gets rid of the muddy taste. You don't have to do too much to it at all. Salt, pepper, garlic, maybe lemon.
Yep.
And then maybe cook it just with a little bit of beer in the pan. I always find that makes a really nice taste to it as well. But you don't have to do too much. Sometimes I give them to my dad, and he makes like fish cakes and things out of them, which is okay. But I still find that you still find bones in them when you've made fish cakes, even if you've managed to mince that down to nothing. It's still going to have little bits of bone in there, which irks some people. I don't really care too much, but some people find that annoying. And then the rest I put in the garden, man, because it's wicked. It's wicked for your passion fruits and all your other vegetables and things like that as well. So if I, you know me, man, if I'm going to take something from living, I'm going to do as much with it as I possibly can because, I got a heart.
Yes.
I'm not saying you don't. But if I've taken it away from being alive, I want to do the most that I can with it. And you stop looking at me like that, like you got a sus look in your face.
So one of the first times Ilias and
I again about the fish lips.
One of the first times Ilias and I went out, I shot a fish. I was showing him how it's done, and I've just taken the fish off of the arrow and thrown it straight into a bush. And it's just something that I've always done. It's carp. I see him as just the biggest pest, straight in the bush. And then next minute, Ilias is, "What are you doing?" and dives straight in the bush, just his legs hanging out, and he grabs his carp out. He's like, "That's good food. Don't waste that."
Don't waste it, man. Don't waste it.
I've taken them home, tried cooking them. I've cooked them a bunch of different ways. I've filleted them and deboned them, served them as, it's just a lot more work. Served them as just, grilled fish. Most people can't tell the difference once I soak them in coconut milk or something the equivalent, normal milk, that works. Like a saltwater brine, you can do it that way. I have minced them, take the fillets, the skin off, and just chuck them through a mincer a couple times. Make fish cakes. Yes, you do get the bones, but because they're so small, it's all edible. You're not really getting them stuck in your teeth. They're not stabbing you. It's just a little tiny bit of crunch in with them. So Thai fish cakes, adding lots of herbs, spices, salt, pepper. I've done Kentucky fried carp fillets. That goes all right. It's just a lot of work, I find, especially if you're doing fillets.
If you want the minimal work, you got to take the belly meat. You're going to need a lot of fish, but you're going to get a lot of fish if you do it well, so you'll be fine.
So how much belly meat? Because that's something I haven't taken off. So you're saying from like the last rib to the arsehole area? Yeah,
right down to the end of the tail, man. Yeah. There's not a single bone in it. You'll find it. There's a bunch of YouTube videos on how to cut it out, but it's not very hard. And if you've shot a bunch of fish in a day and you brought them home, you're going to have enough to feed a few people for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Have you thought about doing like fish leather out of the skin? I know a lot of people have tried doing fish leather.
Yeah, there's a few things I've tried. Like, I've wanted to try, but I haven't done it yet. The fish leather thing looks wicked. I saw some dude made like a quiver out of like carp pieces, which I thought was wicked. But
it'd be pretty sweet. You get a mirror carp and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing we should discuss is mirror carp, common carp, koi carp. That's pretty much the few variants you can get. There's a lot of people, a lot of English fishing sources say that mirror carp are a different species. There's some science to go in saying it is a different like subspecies, and all of those spawn. I think it's more like a genetic mutation in the fish. You get one in every so many million. we might get a mirror carp every second time we go out. Have you shot one, Ilias?
No, I've never shot one.
So do you know?
I reckon I've seen. I have seen pictures, but I've seen one in the water.
Yeah.
But it was too far away to shoot. But I've never shot one. No.
And then you also get like koi carp, goldfish looking real golden. Luke and I fishing, we caught a black, like pure black carp, which was trippy as.
That's wicked.
Yeah, that was cool as. I remember that. That was wild.
So you can get bunch of different color variants. I know Western Australia, they pretty much don't get the browny grey color carp that we get, like that silvery greeny whatever color you want to call it. They're pretty much all koi, like bright whites and oranges and yellows, which would be bloody awesome. I know New Zealand is a lot of that. That's another thing people don't know, bow fishing in New Zealand, which looks freaking wicked.
It looks good. It looks really good. I would love to do that one day.
What's his? I can't think of his Instagram handle. Well, find it, and
Is it that trad dude?
Nah, it's the fella that's shooting Joel something. He's shooting snapper off of the rocks with his bow fishing setup. So he's burleying snapper up with a burley bag, and these big snapper are coming up and feeding on the burley, and he's shooting the red snapper off of the rocks. It's freaking so
That's
cool.
awesome.
That sounds good, man.
That's cool.
That's saltwater bow fishing. That's high on my. I know we covered that a little bit at the start of the podcast, but that's high on my list. Like sharks, stingrays, and anything that's.
I follow this dude called Public Land Trad New Zealand, or NZ. I think his name's Bryce. I think.
Yep.
That dude is always bow fishing, and he's got all the different colours. He's collected them all. I don't know if you can see that there, guys. The listeners obviously won't be able to.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the
How good
koi
is that?
and grass carp.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
So for those
I've only seen like a pure black one, and then I've seen a white one, but that was like living. We didn't get to shoot that or catch it, but yeah, mirror carp.
Yep.
What are you doing?
This is just us when we're out bow fishing and hunting. This is why, the three of us together hardly kill anything, because we're too busy in tears, laughing and crying.
It's every time I'm talking at the moment, you motherfuckers on the video are making me laugh.
So yeah, Luke's seen some black ones and some white ones. Joel,
sounds like a trip up the hills.
I got tears in my eyes. Stop. Joel Davies NZ. Joel _ Davies NZ is this fella's Instagram account. He slingshots fish and like snapper with the bow fishing reel on, and bow fishes a bunch of snapper off the rocks, it's so cool. And there's a couple guys that do it on boats as well. I've seen. So yeah, I've got a lot of things to tick off on my bow fishing. One of the first videos I watched on bow fishing is aerial bow fishing on YouTube, and it's Tim Wells and Sydney Wells, and they're chasing the is that the Asian carp or the silver carp that jump out of the water when they're spooked. So they're flying down in boats in the bayous and stuff like that, the rivers, and these fish are launching 6-7 foot out the water, and they're shooting the fish out of the air. Man, that looks so much fun. That's one of my bow fishing.
That does look good.
Bow fishing bucket lists. There's seen a video of a fella bow fishing a tiger shark, like a big tiger shark feeding on a whale carcass. That would be just insane, shooting something that size with the bow while bow fishing.
That's crazy.
And then, like, if you look into the old stuff, like what's his name? Not Ted Nugent, Fred Bear, bow fishing like marlin and stuff like that. Just huge fish. Yeah. Putting like fly teasers out and then shooting the marlin as they're chasing the teasers off the back of boats. That just absolutely insane. What about you fellas? Is there anything bow fishing related that's like a bucket list?
Alligator. Does that count?
I'd love to. Alligator, yeah, that would be sick.
Yep.
That'd be sick. And then I think they do iguanas somewhere in around
Florida.
Florida. That would be That would be interesting. I don't know if I would be that keen because I feel like that thing would be like a rat in a bloody drain pipe when you shot it. I don't reckon it would be very happy.
It would be so much fun, and apparently the iguanas taste amazing. Like they make like any substitute for chicken. Like KFI would be sick. Kentucky Fried Iguana.
I think your bucket list is to Kentucky fry every animal on this planet.
Oh, how
100%. Anything that gets shot. Oh, we should KFD this.
Yeah. What's the D?
You know the D.
Come over, I'll show you.
Yeah. It's a donkey, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I'd give it a go. And then
I bet you would.
yeah, I watched a video of a YouTuber deep frying a whole iguana. Like, that looked freaking amazing.
Mm.
I saw a dude do a guinea pig the other day. He smoked
Do
it.
a guinea pig? Cook it, yeah.
You need to settle down, man. But that thing looked wicked.
Oh, yeah. Well, apparently they're really good eating.
Apparently, yeah.
I can't remember what country eats.
I think it's no. I'm not even going to say it because I'll look like an idiot. So I'll just leave it as it is.
Yeah, they feed on them. I'd give it a go. I wouldn't go down to the local pet shop and get one, but
you can start breeding them.
Yeah, oh man, I had those things as kids. They're the most annoying things, and they breed. Like, you can see why they're a good food source because they just breed insanely.
Yeah.
But yeah, crocodiles, alligators, and iguanas would be sick. That's something that's always been on my list too.
Alligator would be cool. No, I wouldn't. Not so much iguana, but yeah, alligator or stingrays, a shark up North Queensland or something. That'd be awesome.
That'd be wicked. So good.
Yeah, stingrays would be a fun one. But there's that fella that posts a lot of videos. He got stung by one of the stingrays through the calf or in the shin when he was out bow fishing some, which would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you see how the carp react when you shoot them. So imagine, a big stingray. I'm not sure if you fellas have ever caught one on a rod, but they suck to really and they just stick to the ground. Where shooting one with an arrow, you have to get close. I reckon a gaff would be a good thing. That's another thing that we haven't covered is dispatching carp. Ilias, what's your go-to method there?
I have a fishing rod, as you're well aware, which is just a little baseball bat, and it's called my fishing rod. And as soon as I pull them out the water, man, I give them a couple clunks, and then I put them in the esky. It's just like if you catch a squid and you give it the old karate chop. I just like it quick like that, and then nobody's getting hurt or stressed out, and I can take you home and eat you. Sounds good.
Yep. I try and carry a somewhat solid knife and just give them a quick brain spike, but the head can be pretty difficult to get through, and the bat does.
Stick has, the bat's good. The bat's a win. I love the bat.
The bat, a big stick or a bat, depending on the size as well, because you got the under the gill method, and you can break their neck and then their back and just peel their head off easily, quite like that, if they're not too big. But their heads are pretty hard.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, you're bow fishing the big breeding females and males. Like, you're not getting... Yes, in flood times, you get a lot of smaller carp schooling up, but you're not getting a lot of small carp when you're out there on a normal summer's day chasing them. You're getting all, 5, 6, 7 kilo, 60 to 85. I think 85, 90 would be the biggest I've ever shot while being out there. Because they get big. They get, especially the big females, they get some big bellies on them when they're spawning lots.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember the first time going out with you, it was holy shit, I didn't realise they'd be all this big. Like, all the ones that you see and you get onto straight away are massive.
It's also the fight they put up, I wasn't expecting them to be so strong. They put up a fair fight if you shoot them. Sometimes you shoot them straight in the brain and they don't put up a fight at all. But you know, sometimes I wasn't expecting it to be so difficult, you know, but to pull one in, you know, I don't know. I would just assume that once they were shot, they would be like, okay, I think I'm done now, and I'll just float in. But no, they go.
Yeah, there's a reason they're called the old mud marlin, because they go pretty hard. And like you said, with the with how tough the heads are, there's that video of you shooting your first one, and you probably only got 3-4 inches of peno into the front of its head, and it brained it.
So heaps.
Yeah.
What was that?
So heaps.
That's a lot. 3-4 inches is a lot for some people.
Oh man, I didn't catch that until just now. Bloody hell! You guys are not well. I'm reporting this podcast.
Let's just hope it's been helpful for some and a good laugh. I knew that's exactly why I wanted to do this episode with you fellas, because I knew it would be a good laugh, and people think it's we're fucking stupid, but they'll have a good laugh.
Actually, I got one more thing.
Yeah, man.
Before you go, is be very familiar with the law before you go.
Yep.
Because it's not a very common practice, bow fishing. You know, people aren't out there every weekend, and there's not 50 people standing on a jetty. It's going to be you poking around some, you know, waterways, grassland, maybe in eye shot of people's houses or businesses, and they're going to be like, this is probably concerning. There's a guy down there doing I don't know what with a bow and arrow, and he's been down there for hours. So you may get the authorities called on you. And a lot of the time, I can tell you this, the authorities are not going to have the faintest idea on the laws regarding bow fishing. So it's paramount that you know the laws about bow fishing in your area, and that you can also recall them quickly, so that if you do get in question by the police, you can tell them the law, and if they don't believe you, you can look it up very quickly and then tell them that you're doing the correct thing. Because like I said, the cops don't see it all the time, and they're not going to be very familiar with the laws either. So it's good to know where you stand before somebody starts coming at you going, put that thing down. You know?
Yes, we've all had the cops called on us out bow fishing at this one spot. There's a particular Karen that hangs around there, and you know, as soon as she sees us out in the swamp, she calls the cops, and they come and have a chat to us. But the cops have been excellent. Like they've been, I've had one bad experience the whole time I was there with one cop, and that was apart from that. But once I had explained to him this is completely legal, and then, like I said, was able to find the information very quickly, he was fine after that. But he was just freaking out because I had a large bow with an arrow sticking out the front of it, and he was shouting at me, you know, hand on his pocket, like, put that thing down, get the arrow off that thing. I said, I can't get the arrow off this thing. It's tied to it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you got to think that if the cops do get called on you, you've got a weapon in your hand, and they're seeing you. You know, it's keep your cool, be calm, be polite. You know the law where you are. You know, make sure where you are is legal to go. You know, there's no fishing signs, all of that type of stuff. Explain all of the the laws, because like the South Australian laws is the backwaters of the Murray River. And that's pretty, like, you know, there's a bunch of definitions that people, they read into it and say, you know, oh, it only means from this point up. It doesn't include the Murray Lakes area and stuff like that. It doesn't include little, you know, shallow creeks running outside of it. It only means like floodways. And so there's lots of different definitions of how people take it, so it's just best to be familiar. The purser down here won't tell you what it actually means. I've inquired into it, so it's a hard one. But you know, be polite, be respectful. You know, the first time Luke and I had the cops called, we'd packed up for the day. We'd been there in the morning, went to another spot, come back, shot some more fish. We had kayaks on the roof. It got called in. We were 20 minutes from where we were heading home, and we're going down a dirt road, and next minute there was flashing lights, pulled us over, and cops have hopped out, and they're like, oh, we've had reports of people shooting pelicans with bow. Oh, he didn't say pelicans. He jumps out and he goes, we had some reports of your car and two guys shooting, you know those birds with the long beaks with the big throats? And I'm like, yeah, pelicans? He goes, yeah, them. We had reports of people shooting them with bows and arrows. And I just kind of laughed at him and said, okay, I know what's happened here. Explained to him we were bow fishing, we had a bunch of photos. The photos showed the pins where you were, so we were able to clear everything up with him. But they had 5 or 6 cop cars going in every direction outside of the area we were looking for us, because they thought we were shooting pelicans with the bows, because this particular house that seems to be the issue for all of us.
Pelicans. It's always pelicans. Every time I've spoken to a cop, it's like, are you shooting pelicans? And I'm like, here's my esky. It's full of fish.
Yep. Yeah, that's...
Well, even our other mate has done the same thing, shooting in the same spot, Adam, and he's driven off and then, got pulled over, same deal. And he's pulled out his phone and, explained it all and all that. So ever since that little ordeal, though, I have done exactly what you suggested, Ilias, with having the information ready to go. I've actually had the browser open, ready to go.
Yeah.
So as soon as I open my Safari on my phone, bang, it's right there.
Yeah, it's the best thing. And then if you are a person that is like, or probably definitely like me, I know you're very straight edge as well. If someone questions that you're doing the right thing, you can take it and go, oh, hang on, actually, am I? And if they see that you're not certain, it's not going to get you off to a good start. Then you're going to start to panic.
Yeah.
To have the information on hand is just like, it's like an insurance policy. It's just a peace of mind to say, if anyone questions me, I know what's going on. Here's the information. Now, have a nice day.
Yeah,
well, it's just peace of mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. I've got the SA fishing app on my phone. Yeah, open that up. Shows you all your species, your regulated gear. It tells you all your information. So that's a good thing to have up. I've always been a bit funny with police ever since I almost got shot by police back in my charity fundraising days. It gets the old nerves going. All right, so here's the story. Everyone's going to love this. When I
robbing a bank, and you're saying it's for charity, please. The Ronald McDonald House needs this.
So, back when I was 18, 19, I did some charity fundraising for like an environmental company. Save the environment. Will you donate? So, working along, we'd have dress up days. So, some days we'd dress up, and this particular time was dressed as a pirate day, and working along on North Terrace in Adelaide. So like a really busy area right out the front of the uni, the art centre, the museum, all of that. Working along, dressed like a pirate, fake parrot on my shoulder, fake hook, fake little $2 sword from the reject shop, fake little flintlock pistol, working along, been there since about 8 a.m. It was close.
A 1700s accurate, full-size cannon, working cannon.
Working with
I don't know what the problem was.
With a Muslim fella that was, big bushy beard, long hair, working along, and next minute, cop car pulls up, one of the full drives, and lights on, and they're pointing at us. And I'm looking behind me. I'm like, oh, what's going on behind me? Next minute, they mounted the curb. 3 cops had jumped out, guns drawn. Get on the ground and we'll shoot. So I've next minute got all these pistols in my face. I've dropped to the ground. They're kicking the fake sword away, the hook. One's come around and put the gun on my forehead. One's come around and put the gun on the back of my head. And the other one's kicking the weapons away, and then the guy that I was working with, he's like trying to explain, and then he's got a pistol in his face, like point blank, and they're like screaming at us, and yeah. So whenever I deal with cops, these like for a long time there, I'm much better now, but I'd start
what was
getting
the issue? Because you had a fake parrot.
Someone, yeah. I had an eye patch. I had the triangle hat on. I had, the vest.
What was the issue? Is it because you had the fake sword?
Someone rang up that we had the fake sword and the gun. Like, it was a $2 sword from the reject shop. You can tell it was plastic, but yeah. Someone rang up and made a complaint, apparently. and yeah, I ended up with skid marks. Like, I shat myself. I hit the ground. I've never hit the concrete so quick in my life.
Bloody hell, man.
It was me. I made the complaint.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a fun story. You know, and it could happen while you're out bow fishing.
Yeah, well, you know, you never
Getting
know.
accused of shooting pelicans.
Yeah. But yeah,
Birds with the big bills.
The other thing you can do is if you go to a place where you intend on returning to a fair bit, especially in the warmer months when the fish are very active, is just talk to people that you meet. You know, because I've seen people down there who recognise me from last time, you know, or the time before, or they've seen other people down there, and we've all been very friendly. So what are you doing? Oh, I'm just bow fishing. We'd love to see some pictures. You know, have a bit of a chat, talk about things in the area, and then you just become a bit of a familiar face down there as well. And that just goes beyond like people who frequent the areas that you are, but also like when the cops come, same thing. Just be polite and nice, and you know, become a regular down there. You know, so that people aren't so afraid of people walking around with bows and arrows and doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's it. Like, one of the other spots we go has got a big walking trail all around it, and quite often you've got people stopping and chatting to you, and you know, you're explaining what you're doing when you're chest deep in water, walking around looking for fish, holding bows and arrows, and you know, you go up, show them photos, show them how to look for the fish, or they give you a story about how they're seeing, you know, massive meter long fish swimming around everywhere, and and you're explaining what you're doing. You know, some of these places have pipes in the water, so you get some people come through and they're like, "Oh, watch out for the irrigation pipes that pumps up." You know, someone's shot them before, because all of these areas, like bow fishing, is only pretty much all public land in South Australia, which is the only thing you can really do on public land, which is great, for now anyway. But chat to people. I've quite often given lots of carp away. You know, meet a lot of different people down there, and yeah, they're trying to catch fish. I'm like, hey, I've got 10 70 centimeter carp. Do you want to take them? And they're like, yep, no worries. So, that's good. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, not really. Just be patient, I guess, if you're going out for your first time, and you know, really look at the water, look for things out of place, and just be good people, be responsible. Yep. And you're going to be under like the public eye quite often, especially in SA. Like the whole time you're out there, you're under scrutiny. So take your time, be considerate of other people, and yeah, just be good people.
I think that's a very good point, man. And not just with the bow fishing, but every time you take a bow and arrow out of your house for the purpose of pursuing an animal, I think you have to go, I'm now becoming an ambassador for this.
Yep.
And anything I do that is stupid is going to reflect upon the entire community. So that's good, man.
Yeah, it's quite often the minority ruin it for the majority, but just weed out those minorities and, you know, hold yourself accountable as well as your mates. I know, like, you know, if I do something wrong, Zach or Ilias, I know will pull me up, and vice versa, I'll pull them up or whatever. So, yeah, look out for your mates and just be good people and be considerate.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. One more thing I've thought to add, learning how to shoot fish in the water. There's a couple of different ways you can practice. Fill up a 2-liter Coke bottle of water and put it in the water, and it sinks down under the surface, and you can practice shooting at that till you hit them. And it just gives you that get your eye in before you're actually out there doing it. But clean up your mess. Don't just leave it floating in the water. Yeah. Shoot it, then wind it in, chuck it in the bin, chuck it in your car. Because these are public areas, there's quite often bins and stuff that you can put stuff in. Don't leave the carp in the middle of trails and stuff. If you're not keeping them, throw them in the bush. Keep them away from the water. That's what most of the laws state. You know, because they have fears of eggs getting into the water and being fertilized and that, even though that it has to be in spawning season for eggs to be fertilized. But that's all I can think of.
Yeah, well, if they're if they're sucking on the top, or you can see their fins, I don't ever really compensate anything below that.
Yep.
So I usually point on, and then it's pretty sweet. But anything where it's below the surface, where I know I can see the fish, but I can't see anything breaking the surface, then I'm aiming probably an inch or an inch and a half below the fish. But again, like you said, experience, just get that Coke bottle out there or whatever and just put time in and get it done.
Yeah, that's one thing is we're not bow fishing in clear water. Like, you're not seeing the bottom in this water. It's murky, muddy water. So we're only really shooting fish that we can see. We can see that they're carp because they're feeding on the surface. They're swimming just below the surface where you can see them. Sorry. But they...
Turn into meat.
Yeah, I know. Luke and I have both been fighting the man flu for the past week and a bit. This is our
almost died.
Yeah. It's been a rough one, but you know, a lot of places in New South Wales, you're seeing lots of video of clear water. It is very hard shooting in clear water, especially when the fish are 4 or 5 foot down. I've come across a couple of places like that where the water's been clear and you can see the bottom and you're shooting fish at that depth. It is very, very hard, and you just got to try and just keep going.
It's not just the refraction that you're combating against. It's also the arrow is slowing as the water gets deeper as well. So that's another whole thing to.
Yeah, the pressure of the water.
You sent me that video of you trying to shoot those ones in that clear water, and you could see how quickly the arrow's speed was just dropping as the arrow got deeper and deeper. So that's something else to think about.
Yeah.
And that's another reason. Go on, Luke.
No, you're right. You go.
That's another reason I like using the 70-pound compound bow, is because it's just got the full power, the speed. Where I was comparing the recurve and the compound bow on that 5 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot deep water, shooting the fish at the bottom of this clear backwater. The recurve would just stop halfway. It wasn't getting nowhere near down deep enough where the compound was sticking into the mud, but still it's bloody hard in that clear water. Try and find the shallower water where they're sunbaking. That seems to be the best.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you are shooting in murky water and you do see something that's odd and you think, oh, there's something there, just take your time to ensure that it is a carp and it is whatever it is you're targeting, and you're not going to shoot something else by mistake, because it's like you said, you can't see much, and we're all representing bow fishermen every time we go out. So just take the time to make sure your target is what you're intending. That's the only other thing I could say.
Yep. No, that's good. Yeah. Within saying that, though, I've never seen anything act like what carp do in the water. We're not going to...
Yeah, but I'm talking me, you, and Luke. We've shot, a decent amount of carp between the three of us. So we've got a lot of experience in looking at. But when it was like when you first went out, or when I first went out, you'd say, hey, look, there's carp over there. And I'd be like, hey, what are you talking about? And I say, is it that? And you'd be like, no, that's a water rat. It takes a while to, if you haven't been out there before, if you don't spend much time on the rivers, you're not going to know what you're looking at until you know.
Yeah. Experience is key for sure.
Yeah. Get out there and just watch. Get out there, polarize sunnies, and just watch. Yeah. Well, that's us done for the night. Well, I want to thank you fellas for coming on. It's been, it's not often we get to chat out of Messenger these days, so I thought it was a good way of doing it. Jesus, what's that? Doing the podcast, bit of feedback then of something, but good to do the podcast with you fellas, and it's been good fun, good laugh, and I hope that people listening got something out of it. And if you have any questions, hit us up on social media, either me on the podcast page, Aussie_arrow for myself. Ilias, Luke, what's your Instagram handles?
It's just Luke_Turner_93.
I don't know, I'm Action Man, but I don't know how it actually appears. Action_man_Matane. Matane. For those of you who want to watch me.
Watch the famous "Dad, I did it" video. It's on the reels. Ilias famous for his treadmill and his non-stop working out, doing different 30-day workouts every 30 days.
Yeah, well, when your wife cooks as good as mine, man, you got to do something.
Well, fellas, thank you very much. And yeah, I hope everyone got something out of tonight's chat.
Cool.
Easy, fellas.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Hunting Connection Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our discussions and gained valuable insights into the world of hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. To stay connected with us and never miss out on an update, please be sure to follow us on social media, all at Hunting Connection Podcast. We appreciate your support and would love for you to share the podcast with your friends and family. Don't forget to tag us in your hunting photos on social media and let us know about your experiences. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Together, we continue growing and delivering more captivating episodes for all hunting enthusiasts. Stay connected, stay informed, and keep pursuing your passion for the hunt. Until next time, happy hunting.